good afternoon, and good evening to all of you who are joining us today for the concluding session of the Virtual Cross-Border Summit 2020 from all across the globe. We've had a very power-packed week with expert panelists and a great attendance. I hope you enjoyed the sessions as much as we enjoyed hosting it. The panelists each day have spoken about the different models of cross-border, the nuances of each model, key considerations that you need to keep in mind, or around fulfillment, tax laws, remittances, etc., etc. So as a brand, I'm hoping that the summit has been useful in preparing a very handy toolkit for you, and you've been able to tick off most of your questions. Today's leg is going to be a very important one on your cross-border journey, primarily because it's going to now talk about scaling your cross-border business and by leveraging all kinds of value-added services. So after connecting the dots and knowing, which market to enter, how to enter, etc., the next big question that comes to a brand's mind is, how do I target the right customer? How do I curate content which is relevant to that market? How do I ensure that I can minimize returns? How do I ensure that I am able to control churn or even create much more customer loyalty or engage my customers much better? So in today's session, we are actually going to discuss all about that and much more. So we have a variety of panelists today. In fact, it's not just a single theme because we're covering so many aspects. So what we've done is I have specifically structured the content today in two parts. The first part, we are going to delve only around content and localization. And the second part is around the use of technology to scale, where we talk specifically about analytics, predictive engines, returns minimization, customer loyalty, engagement, etc. So let's begin by introducing the panelists. Joining us from Singapore, we have Patience from Language Connect, an international translation services agency. Language Connect helps brands go global through e-commerce solutions in 160 languages. And if you go to Patience's LinkedIn profile, she promises people that she can help brands go global in 160 countries. So that's like a wow. We have Narinder Mahajan, who is a co-founder of Odeon Digital Services and a die-hard entrepreneur who helps in building innovative e-commerce content solutions across geographies, right from product cataloging to photography to marketing graphics and more. In fact, Narinder himself comes from a very, very rich e-commerce background. On the technology front, we have three panelists. We have Shabri Raje, and I have the honor of hosting Shabri on a panel like this for the second time. She is the Chief Product Officer at Find Me a Shoe, and her passion lies in product design based on customer experience. So Shabri will tell us how a simple tool that she offers helps retailers and wholesalers. It gives them an easy to use fitting service and using AI, and it actually helps minimizing returns. So I believe the returns on shoes is apparently the highest, and her product essentially helps minimize that return. The next panelist with us is Amit Kaushal, who is the founding partner at Inalito. Inalito helps web shops to identify the customers they are losing, reduce their ad spend, increase their conversion ratio, along with some other terrific BI stuff in a single app. And it essentially, in a nutshell, Inalito helps in complete lifecycle automation for your web shops. Last but not the least, we have Vikas Garg, who is the co-founder of Shipway Technologies, which provides an all-in-one technology for shipment tracking and notifications. And you may wonder that why was Vikas not a part of day 3? But I think his technology essentially promises customer loyalty and engagement, and we will delve into that a little in a little bit of time. So thank you, panelists. It's an honor to host you today. And before we start with the questions, we'll adjust some housekeeping rules. The session will last for around 60 to 75 minutes, and we will open the floor for questions at the end, which is in the last 15 minutes. And in case during the course of the session you have questions, feel free to post them on the right-hand panel, and we will serve them at the end of the session on a first-come, first-served basis. So my first question is around content, because as a brand or seller, this is something, and when Vinculum does a lot of E2E, end-to-end cross-border consulting, and this is something that always comes up with by brands and sellers asking, how do I do translation into different languages? How do I do local content? How do I curate content in local language so that it's a relevant content, I get much better response, I'm able to reach the audience better. So my first question is targeted towards Patience. So Patience, if I'm a brand that's looking to go global and wants to localize my content, what are some of the important things to take care of?
Thank you very much, Rachna. It's a pleasure to meet everybody. So before I begin, let me quickly share with you my screen so be clear from my presentation. So if everyone can see my screen, is it clear? Or do you see the main presentation? Okay, never mind. Let me just push this to the side. Okay, yeah. So thank you again, Rachna, for your question. So I'm from Language Connect. So we are a company that provides translation services and other language solutions for e-commerce brands to go global. So the question on going, when you want to go international, what are some of the key questions that you need to take note of, and how can you actually maximize your potential in capturing market share? So the first one would be maintaining your brand integrity with glossaries and tone of voice. So this is very important because sometimes the certain brands, when they are very, they do not put much thought into going translating their content, right? So for example, what they would do is they get their colleague who maybe is a foreigner who speaks Spanish, for example, to do the translation for their website content. That person, your colleague, may not know exactly what would be the right keywords to use for the SEO content that would actually enable your website to actually reach the first page in the Google search results. That's an example. Another one is maybe if a brand uses Google Translate to translate some content into another language, and I'm sure many of you have actually experienced using Google Translate, and sometimes the results are not always the best. So, certain things like that is what makes having a good localization strategy very important. So one example is also that I like to use is the Swedish language. So take, for example, you are an owner of a luxury fashion brand, and on your website, you would use, in English, you would use the words such as elegant, sophisticated, lovely, etc. However, if you were to translate those adjectives into Swedish, it will make your brand actually sound very cheap and very low class. So very interesting fact, because in Sweden, the more brands that use a lot of those kind of adjectives would actually make the brand sound very low class. So this is something that our linguists are native and in country and have all the expertise of the cultural norms to understand what is the best way to actually maintain your brand integrity as well as your brand positioning. Second point is putting in place a strong workflow to scale when you want. So when a brand wants to go overseas and localize their content very quickly, right? You want to have it out in 5 countries or 10 countries within a span of 1 to 2 months, right? You need to ensure that you have all the workflow and processes in place so that when you want to go global or launch your product at that time, everything will go very quickly. I'll show you an example later on of a case study that we did for a brand. The third one is knowing the right type of translation required. So people think, I just translate the content. Isn't it just about translation? And it's not so simple as that. So when you think about translation, right, there's so many things that you have to be flexible about depending on the type of content. If you think about a tagline, a slogan. So for example, KFC, finger licking good. That's their famous slogan, right, for their chicken wings. When China, when they translated the content, this slogan, it turned out to be eat your fingers off, which is something totally not what KFC wanted to translate, right? So that's where you actually require transcreation. This is a type of transcreation, but when it considers more of maintaining the message in the brand and the emotion that you want to bring across to your local audience. So our linguists are native speakers, so they will know how can they be creative with coming up with the right tagline or slogan for your brand in that target market. Another point that I want to point out to you is also for compliance. So many companies do not take this into account when they discuss about labels and food ingredients, for example, because you need to have the knowledge of that local country on what are their regulatory standards for compliance. So for example, if you are an owner of a cosmetic brand and you have a mascara that you want to market out, and you claim that you can help, the mascara can help your eyelashes grow longer, it's not true. It only helps to make appear that your eyelashes look longer. So if you translate wrongly and you make false claims, it can actually impact your brand in a very negative way. So you got to be very careful. There are a lot of risks involved in when it comes to labels and food ingredients. Then lastly is using multilingual SEO. So people wonder, is there really much of a correlation between having a good localization strategy? How does it correlate to website performance? The answer is actually yes, there is a strong correlation, because we have done for many of brands SEO, multilingual SEO for them, and we've seen the results for how the results turn out to be. So very quickly, I'll just show you the next slide. This is an example of two brands that we did multilingual SEO for, and as well as we translated their website content. So on the left-hand side is MyProtein, is one of the largest sports nutrition brand for protein powder in the world. So what we did for them was we translated 21 million words, so that's 20 languages in total. We engaged 208 linguists and did a quick turnover in 15 days. So that was linking to what I said earlier on about having the right workflow in place. When you have the correct framework, you can actually turn over very quickly and launch your websites in multiple languages very quickly. And on the right hand side is Look Fantastic. So this is also one of the top cosmetic reselling brands in the world. So you can see over here in the results. So in this little graph here, you can see the orange and the blue. On the left-hand side is pre-translation, and on the right-hand side is post-translation of the website localization. So you can see the results that, how much of the positive results you can see in terms of the quantity sold, session counts have increased, and as well as the gross revenue. So these are some points that I just wanted to raise in terms of thinking about your localization strategy.
Great. So, Patience, my next question is, to be honest, I mean, while you have touched upon it briefly, but I just want to check with you. There are a whole lot of these translation tools that are now available, which are like machine-based, etc. And they not only promise that they would be quicker, they also promise that they are going to be cheaper. So, while you have talked about this, but what happens if I'm a brand and I just choose one of those? What's the kind of the risk that I would carry?
Thank you very much for your question, Rachna. So yes, machine translation is here and it's here to stay. It's definitely having a faster turnaround time, as well as it's much more affordable. However, if you think about if your content requires, it's brand specific, or is actually requiring creativity in the terms of the translation of the content, I would not advise using machine translation, because technology is still not advanced at this point of time. So, for example, I came across this where the term payment upon delivery, it was translated into payment upon giving birth. So that was very wrong. But because the machine was actually trained on using a healthcare source for its language training. So that was the reason why, sometimes it's very risky to actually use machine translation. Another example is, machine translation does not, understand product names very well. So if you just even think about President Bush, for example, if you translate it, it become President Small Tree. So that is also very wrong. So it depends definitely on the language pair and the industry sector. So sometimes I would recommend to my clients, we can actually do machine translation for them and include post-editing of including a linguist to do the editing portion of it. Yeah. So yeah, we would advise what's the best solution for our clients.
Okay, cool. So basically, thanks for sharing those examples. They are not only important, but they're also a little hilarious. But clearly, it's telling us that trusting smart computer systems blindly may not be the best approach. But just a combination of machine cum human interventions would essentially help, us to navigate this better, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So you spoke about transcreation, and I just want you to dwell a little bit about how is translation, because honestly, I learned the word transcreation from you. So if you can just tell me the difference between translation and transcreation, and how is it different?
Understand. Thank you, Rachna.
And maybe you can share some examples.
Okay. Yeah. So earlier on, I did share the example of Finger Licking Good by KFC,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
The fingers off. So translation is more of you just kind of render the source content, the source, like I say in English, into a new language. However, transcreation, it could mean that, let's say, a sentence can be totally revised because the linguist will understand what that particular target market understands best. So it may not be kind of like a rephrasing of the English source into the new language, but the linguist might be, no, I think they need to use some creativity and change the entire sentence to actually maintain the brand integrity, or what is the message that you want to bring across to your audience. So this is what it means by transcreation. So definitely you are kind of creating new content based on the brief, based on the original source of the message that you want to have your local audience understand.
Okay, great, thank you. So thanks a lot for sharing that, and I'll come back to you, Patience. But Narinder, just wanted to, I just wanted to move on to you a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I'm a seller of handicraft goods in India, and I want to sell, say, let's say, take an example of I want to move to UAE. So if you can explain, how do you sequentially, at what point will I use your service, or what are some of the few things that you can help me with?
Yeah, hi, Rachna. Thanks a lot for inviting here. We come quite early in the value chain when the brand is actually planning to go online. I think before the go live date, I think 2 months earlier is where we are normally talking to a brand because that's when the whole range is being decided upon, and the kind of brand ideation, and what should be the presentation of the products, and how it should be represented across various channels, digital channels, is where normally we get into the system with the brand. And yeah, so even a brand who's based out of India or maybe some other country, and they want to go to another country, of course, besides understanding the brand, you have to understand the market as well. You have to understand what kind of keywords really work in that region, as Patience very rightly mentioned. You need to have very good understanding of what kind of for example, I'll give a very interesting example that we did a very large size project for one of the largest retailers in Middle East. And the kind of posing, the kind of models, it's very different from what we would be doing for Indian clients, where they particularly wanted that women should not laugh or smile in the images. We should use images which are very simple, very not very. So of course, Middle East has its own. You have to understand the market pretty well when you're there. So that's a classic case where what works in India might not work in any other country. Having said that, there's largely the base principles remain the same, and for particularly a handicraft product, I think largely the effort would be to represent what are the origins, what is the whole process of making that product. Otherwise it will lose its entire value, if we don't truly highlight what the product truly stands for. And that's where Odeon comes in terms of in the value chain. Our job is to make brand ideology very, very clear. Our job is to make the story about the product very clear, and what we do, photo shoots and videos and A+ content come quite later in our journey. When after we have done the understanding, we do the detailed analysis in terms of market, in terms of keywords, in terms of competition, and then we arrive at a visual guide kind of a solution for the brand, and keeping the target markets in mind. And after that, we get on to the production part of it, which is photo shoots or videos, or for e-commerce, we do A+ content, which Amazon normally calls it for the informative graphics.
Yeah.
So largely, if I have to if I have to divide our offering, we would be I look at our services into e-commerce, e-commerce content services and creative content services, where e-commerce content would be, anything and everything that you need to go live on an e-commerce platform, be it marketplaces or be it your own web store. So right from photo shoots to the descriptions to the beauty copy, to A+ informative graphics, as I mentioned. And these days there's a very big requirement that is coming from various marketplaces that we work with, is about stop motion videos, where we use still
Can you say
images.
that again? I didn't hear it.
Stop motion videos. So basically,
Okay.
we use images or maybe 360-degree, turntable videos, or maybe video shoots, and
Okay.
create a small video of 20 to 30 seconds, which explains the products in its texture in graphical format, where it becomes very easy for the customer to make a decision for buying. It's like 20 seconds, he can understand all the features. He doesn't have to go through the long list of all the bullet points that I mentioned for the product. In fact, so all this is covered under e-commerce content. And then we talk about creative content is something that you need all for your digital marketing needs, whether it's website banners or your landing pages, your emailers. So that's where our role is.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell me, I mean, I'm just curious, but how do you manage delivery across geo, especially say for photo shoots, etc.?
Mm-hmm. Delivery as in like the physical movement becomes a little,
delivery in terms of services.
Yeah, physical movement becomes a little bit of challenge. We are in the process of developing an app, which is phone-based app, where we can empower sellers to click under a certain controlled environment, which is driven by a camera-based app. But that is still in a testing phase. We want to empower, sellers who don't have, who have very small quantities, or maybe they can't move the goods around. They are in a smaller location, because largely most of the production houses would be in metro cities, and companies in smaller towns in India or outside India, they would find it very difficult to find the right partners to give them. Just to cut short on the movement of goods, we are coming up with this, but otherwise everything will be controlled and managed by us. Yeah, only for the photo shoots, I think it's a little bit of difficulty, but otherwise we have clients in UAE, we have clients in KSA, we have in Hong Kong, Singapore. So for rest of the services, everything is possible from India.
Sure.
Yeah.
And do you also, as part of your digital services, do you also provide demand generation or lead gen activities because that's something that a brand typically requires when they're entering into a new geography, and they may not necessarily be very, very familiar with the different tools available there?
So, we are largely a content design company. I would not say that we are a digital marketing company yet, but it's these kind of services are on the periphery of our offering. We have a few clients where, we help them in building up the market, getting traffic on the website, do SEO for them and all that stuff. But that's not something that is our core offering. But that, normally it happens that these projects have always come along with larger content projects, where companies say that, why don't you manage everything end to end for us? And we have also realized that these days, designing a website or maybe launching a digital marketing campaign is not a very, very, very difficult technically these days. There are so many tools in the market today that very smart person can plug in and play and just amplify the content, amplify the products. Yeah.
So my next question, in fact, I'm going to just go back a little bit to what Patience mentioned in her slide. And I'm pretty intrigued because that's something that keeps coming up. And as a marketer as well, I'm curious to know. So how do you maintain brand integrity as you scale your business? Because not all the brands that go cross-border are very established brands with local presence and, geo-specific offices, etc., etc. So when I am going to, say, 5 different countries, how do I ensure that the integrity of my brand is essentially the same? The salience is maintained across all the geographies. So maybe, Patience or Narinder, if you can just throw some light on that, that will be great.
Yeah, Patience, you want to do that? You want to answer that?
Okay, sure. I will go first then. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what we advise our clients when when they have this kind of plans to go overseas, right? First, we will tell them to create a glossary. So
Okay.
what a glossary means is basically, let's say in English, this is the terms that we like to use, and then in Spanish or Thai, Vietnamese, would be the terms that we would like to be also using, so that there'll be consistency whenever our linguists are using these terms in that particular language. So what that means is that we will take all this glossary and the tone of voice also that we have already pre-translated, put it into our database. It's nothing techy. It's basically our translation tool will be absorbing all this information. And when our linguists do the translation, right, if they were to deviate away from that term when they do the translation in the system, there'll be a flag out of a quality warning to say, hey, in the glossary, there's actually the term that we would like to use already in Spanish or in Thai. Please use this instead. So the linguist would actually review that. So that's how we actually maintain, consistency in the branding, the words used, because sometimes if you use a certain term can be translated into multiple ways. It's not just one way that you can actually translate, right? So yeah, that's how we actually maintain the brand integrity. And on top of that, in our system, right, if you translate more and more, our system would actually capture all this as translation memory, so that in the future, as more projects go along, right, there's actually more cost savings, because we do not charge our clients twice for previously translated content. So that can be up to 30%. Yeah.
So you end up spending less. The longer the engagement, you end up spending less, is what you're
Exactly.
saying.
For each language pair. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Narendra, you want
Rachna,
to add on? Yeah.
yeah, I want to. So basically, there's very interesting project that Winklum and Odeon, together do that for one of the largest watch companies in the
Watch
world.
brand. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's Fossil Group. So Odeon creates content for almost like 30 marketplaces across 9 countries today, and the dissemination of the content is happening through Winklum's tech solutions. Now, answering to Rachna's question, which is very interesting, in fact, for a global brand like Fossil, who for everything, there's a global approval for all kinds of imagery, all kind of content, text content that goes into it. What we devised was master data. There was a format that we decided earlier that this should be the master, set of information that is basis that we decided on the visual guide later, which covered all the brand ethos and what kind of imagery it should be, what kind of fonts and what kind of you know text and keywords should be used for this brand, and everything became a subset after that. So now everything in the Winklum's tool is mapped to that master data. That master data is something that Odeon controls from the root, right from how many angles, what angles, and there are about 160 attributes that go into creating that master data for one watch, for example.
Yeah.
160 attributes we create, and then they are mapped into thousands of variables further, which is within the software now. So the whole brand ideology or the brand ethos has been now contained with one team instead of different 9 to 10 teams at each of the local office that Fossil had earlier before we started this project. Now, so we became kind of a e-commerce content custodians, where we are ensuring that the brand ideology is never diluted, and we get very regular kind of quality checks from Fossil Group, Hong Kong team, and they keep on improving or guiding us in terms of improvements in terms of words and keywords, new collections, how to use them. We get training sessions on that. So largely, so when we do all this, a guy sitting in Japan Fossil office, and he wants to upload some content of few SKUs on Rakuten there. He just have to open up the Winklum software and just select the SKU codes and click on Rakuten, and he gets a ready to upload sheet with images links, relevant images links, that Rakuten will accept. So it becomes very easy for local office, for Fossil Group, for us, for Vinculum, that there's one person who's like controlling the entire content journey here. So that's how, I just wanted to quote this to answer.
Thanks a lot, Narinder. Thanks for sharing that and explaining it so well. So we have the content in place and the customer has made a purchase. And so how do we make them loyal? How do we engage with them more and, make them and ensure that they do not churn? So we now move to the next set of panelists and get those answers. So I'm now going to move to Shabri. Shabri, I always find your product extremely intriguing because I learned for the first time that I may be a shoe size 9, but your product tells me that not all shoe size 9 in any marketplace will fit me. And perhaps that's the reason why I've realized that I've not been able to wear so many of my purchases from different marketplaces. So in cross-border commerce, for a shoe brand to handle a return will have a large impact on costs. So can you please help me describe your product and explain how Find Me a Shoe essentially helps me minimize those returns?
Absolutely, Rachna. Thank you for hosting us. We're as always super excited to partner with Vinculum Group. Yeah. So what I do is just to set some context, I'm going to walk you guys through a small presentation, and then maybe what I'll do is just explain what we do, and then explain how it can be applied in the context of cross-border sellers. So in a nutshell, we have a product which helps you capture a customer foot measurement. Traditionally, this has been done in a store. You go, typically place your leg on something, a metal scale, and they give you one measurement out, and that's typically how this has been done. And as a mom, I know that I have to take my son there and get him measured, and it's never easy on anybody. But that's from where we took our problem statement. And today, what we are allowing our customers, I think a few years ago, we had to download an app to do this, take multiple pictures. But today it's come to a very, very beautiful state where you have a browser on your website, one click, you launch it, and our tool sitting on your website itself launches the camera as shown here. You need one standard paper. Doesn't matter what geography you are, whatever standard paper is available in your geography, we make it work for that. And you have to take one single picture. That's all we ask your customers to do. Take one single picture, simple click, and as you can see, it's a very straightforward interface. No, there have been apps who try to do this with a guidance system. People don't have that kind of patience. This is very straightforward. You take one click, and maybe 15 seconds later max, we probably generate a complete digital foot profile for you. We have the ability to do this for both your feet, left and right, but one is good enough, and that's it. That's an extremely critical baseline data for us. Once you do that, we understand that what is the shape of your foot? What is the width of your foot? Because length is only one thing, right? That's just your toe to heel. But actually to fit you a shoe well, or when you actually go inside a store, you're walking around and testing maybe 5 or 6 different measurements. You're actually seeing how is it at the toes part area? How is it near my instep? Instep is where you typically tie your laces, and all of that matter. But when you're trying to buy online, what is the size chart telling you? Hey, your length is somewhat closer to this shoe's length, and that's exactly why your foot size may be like 270 or a size 9 on the standard scale, but a Bata's or a Clark's or any other brand is going to have a lot of variation. So some of the South Asian brands, they're made for much tinier feet, whereas a European brand would be made elsewhere. We can touch upon this a little later too, but what we do is basically take your foot data, give it a holistic number, saying that, hey, we know that on the size scale you're size 6, but that's one information. So when you start actually going for a shopping experience, and say we're integrated on the retailer platform, we can actually provide a personalized recommendation saying, for this particular model, Rachna needs to buy a size 9, but when she's going to buy maybe a sneaker, she's going to go one size up. It's probably going to be a 10.5. And believe me, I have perfectly normal, well-shaped foot, but in a lot of brands, I land up buying 4 different sizes, especially for women. If I'm buying like a high heel, it's going to be almost 2 sizes down because it can't slip out on me. Whereas when I'm buying my running shoes for my marathon, it has to accommodate the foot expansion that I'm going through. And all of this is accounted by our recommendation service. And in order to do this, we have 3 core pieces of technology which kind of drives our entire service. One, the flagship is obviously the food data capture method, which I explained, which is just through your mobile in your house, you can have it set up. The second part is where we work with retailers, because one, I've understood, the customer foot, but equally important is to understand the inner cavity of the shoe, or on what gradation is the shoe made, what they call as a last, which is the dummy foot on which the shoe is built, and how was the shape defined for that. So we have a various methods to even work with brands, retailers, whether you have samples, you don't have samples, doesn't matter, we can still make it work for you. But what we essentially do is we understand your shoe and assess whether, when you are claiming it's a size 8, maybe it's not, it's actually half size up because your shoes are wider. You actually need to regrade your size, and that's a service that we actually offer around that part. And third is the fit recommendation engine. And people think that, hey, once I know the shoe size and I know your foot size, let me put them together and tell you. That's not actually how it works. We actually simulate like how you would try in a store, because like I explained earlier, like, if Patience is going to learn ballerina and she's going to wear a beautiful ballerina shoe, the fitting for that is going to be very, very different to what Narendra would want for going on a hike, because the hiking shoe calls for a complete. So what our engine does is actually customizes, and it understands these different use cases. So because when people call a return, there are various reasons. One is the size scale mismatch, but there's also a component of fit. And we offer like a fit score. Like, we not only tell you that, hey, you're going to be a size 9, we give you a fit score with a visual, which is shown here like this, where it says that how comfortable the shoe is going to be. Okay. And that, I think, is a big differentiator in purchase confidence. I mean, just blindly telling you, hey, go buy size 9 when you're typically buying size 8, you may not believe me. But I think giving them actually what they're buying is what we offer. And actually, this is a really exciting moment for us today. One part of the shoe fit while we do that. And till now, we've been talking a lot, and that's what we are known for in the market. We've worked with several brands, but we are also in the process of launching a shoe visualization. This is just off the oven. There's a beta release coming up very soon with one of our lead customers. So we're super excited to announce that we'll also be providing you some guidance regarding the look of the shoe. And there are tools in the market who make you download a complicated, heavy app to do this. And we are going to do it all through the browser within the same process. So while we give you confidence in buying the size, we're also going to start offering you how certain shoes might look around your feet. And this is the kind of sample experience that we are offering. So we are super, super excited to
and especially in COVID times when you may not necessarily want to go to a shop. So this kind of helps you do that.
Exactly. And you can try different colors, and you can kind of just, try and see what's going with your trousers and stuff like that. And I think that kind of enables you to make a purchase decision bigger, right? So just a few other points. I mean, our picture flow, our process is extremely easy, and we can have you set up on our baseline service, within a couple of hours, give us a shout out. And if everything aligns right, there's no big, long process to get going. And we have the complete suite. I mean, depending on what you actually need from us, right? You can just give us a shout out, and we can understand your fitting problem, because different people will have different solutions, different issues, and we can actually make sure that we give you the right solution. We've been working with multiple brands across the globe, and some of the biggest names in the industry have been almost partners in developing this product, because it's pretty much one of a kind, right? So, and it's come to a great evolution. I think we've been developing this concept for the last 4 years, where I think we've touched upon every fitting aspect that right from a brand needs to the returns management piece. So we offer a bunch of services depending on what is required, right? From scanning your customer's foot to recommendation, or just benchmarking your sizes, or somebody who's doing a made to measure. There could be a bunch of solutions that could be applicable. So we're happy to chat and, go as per needs. I'll stop here. You can have
so congratulations. I would love to know more about the new thing that you're coming up with. I'm sure it's going to be as intriguing as the first one.
Yeah.
So I think you just touched upon something which came into my mind, and I really just want to ask you a follow-up question on that, which is about this whole demographic aspect of things. And especially when I'm selling in 5 different marketplaces and the constitution of each race is very different. How do you manage those variables? So I'm a
Absolutely.
shoe seller and I have to sell in Southeast Asia as well as sell in US as well as Europe as well as Middle East.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
do
So
you,
that's a challenge not just across countries, right? Even within India, I can tell you that the people in Andhra Pradesh have much wider foot than rest of the country
yeah,
for reasons, you know, for multiple factors that contribute here. So typically, when you have one size scale, how does it matter, right? You're going to tell the guy in Andhra also and the guy in Northeast also this is size 8, whereas their foot, they will just go by the length of their foot, which vaguely may or may not match the shoe of the foot, right? And that's where this entire concept of, you know, the two solutions that we offer, that let's understand your customer's foot better, let's understand your shoe better to begin with. Let's make sure that we're addressing this right in that sense, that if we know that the guy from Northeast, or we measured his foot, it doesn't matter. Once we've measured, we know that although he's an 8 and he's much more narrow, automatically we would grade him down to a 7 or a 6.5 or, you know, whatever is appropriate. So that is something that we automatically take care of. Whereas a guy in Andhra who still measured an 8 on the length, but because he's much wider, he's never going to fit into 8. He probably needs a 9 or a 9.5 on your brand. And we can automatically take care of that, you know, once the customer is signed on to us. That is one way of doing it. Second way of also doing it is checking your standard, like, okay, making sure that your shoes are representative and accommodative of the geographies that you're trying. So both ways we can, you know, address the problem.
so, can you just, for example, the seller could be you choosing, I mean, we've gone through several types of models that a, brand or seller may choose. So in case of a drop ship or selling, which is essentially selling through marketplaces or selling via web shops, or whether we choose via brand distributor route, do you think your product is something which can be enabled across the three models? I mean,
Absolutely. So, you know, this is a great point. Like, while one part of our service requires customer intervention and requires the marketplace, but, you know, let me take an example of a brand. This brand was making elevator shoes. So for those of you who may not be familiar, elevator shoes are Salman Khan shoes, which makes men look a little taller, but in a concealed way. So they have a heel, but it's inside. Okay, but they're extremely popular all over the world for those of you who don't know them. And obviously the sizing on these gets a little tricky. So we had a brand who worked with us who didn't want to sell through their own website, but they would sell on all the e-commerce platforms, dropship all over the world. And this problem appeared to them, and they had close to 35% or 37% returns, and that was killing them. I mean, they pretty much said to us, and what can we do about this, right? And that's when we realized that we essentially need to start creating a custom shoe scale for them, because this scale doesn't work. Even if it was a normal shoe, the amount of geographies that they were handling. So what we did is we had them send us some samples. We have ability to collect samples in multiple geographies, including Singapore. You're launching a small setup there. Or we have a way of, like, you send us a few samples, then rest can be done through photo-based methods. But once we understand these inner cavities of your shoes, we can essentially help you craft a custom scale, which can be served like Narendra was saying. You set it up once as a master, and depending on from where somebody else is picking it up. So if they are picking it up from US, we'll automatically customize it to the requirement of the US Amazon scale, because that's what that customer will be looking for. But if the customer is in India, it's the same shoe, but the shoe might be called a completely different size, because that is what is required here. And we can again set that up as a master and almost create like this translation table for you and provide. And that with this particular brand, we could bring down their returns close to 17%. So almost a 50% reduction just by using one part of our system. And this was done in India on one of the biggest e-commerce channels, and they were super thrilled with the outcome that we had.
Fantastic. So thanks, Shabri, for sharing this and also about your new launch.
Right.
So we'll now move to Vikas. So Shipway Vikas is a shipment tracking solution, and that's how your website describes it. But how do you drive? You also promise, customer loyalty and engagement through your product. So if you can share some geo-specific nuances, because customers in each geography are different. How do you manage your tool to drive the loyalty as well as the engagement that you are promising?
Thanks, Rachna, for asking the question. So first of all, I will tell you, if we are talking about any of the big brands or brands, so loyalty is the biggest factor, because if you will retain your 10% of the customers, you will generate the 30% of the business in future, in coming days. So loyalty is the biggest thing. So most of the e-commerce companies are focusing on till the order received, not after the post shipping experience. So post shipping experience matters a lot if you want to build a great brand for your e-commerce company, right? So we are providing to increase the loyalty. So what we are providing, so we are sending the timely notifications to your customers. This is the first thing, like your order is shipped, your order is out for delivered. The if we are talking about the customer support cost, 40% of the customer support queries are, where is my order, when will I get the order, where is my when will be my order received, it is delayed or it is on time. So if you will provide the timely notifications to your customer through SMS, email or WhatsApp, so obviously you will receive the less queries, support queries, so you can reduce the 40% of the queries for the customer. This is the first thing we are providing. And after delivering the order, we are collecting the reviews for your order, like how was your delivery experience, how was your shipping experience, and what do you recommend us for to your friends, and if there is any mistake from us, or do you have any feedback for us, we will correct this in future. So we are also collecting the order reviews. And one more thing I want to mention here, so when anyone is tracking on your portal, so most of the e-commerce companies are providing like the tracking number and the courier name. So what the customer is doing in that case, customer will Google the courier name, let's say Blue Dart or Royal Email on the Google, go to the courier portal, and track that shipment. So in that case, you can lose your cross-selling business. So what we are offering, we are providing a branded tracking page on your portal that your customer can open the tracking URL on your website, so that you can also place your upcoming sales like Christmas sales or any upcoming sales you can also post. So from that, you can also generate 15 to 20% new business from your existing clients. From our analytics, most of the customers are tracking your branded tracking page from 8 to 10 times throughout the order.
Okay.
So this is also a very important point. So we are taking
you would
this.
say is your key differentiator?
Sorry?
Is this something that you would say is your key differentiator?
Yes, see, this is one of our key differentiator for if we are talking about cross-border here. So in case of cross-border, we are also providing the multilingual feature to our customers. Like if the customer is from China, we are showing the tracking in Chinese language also. We are offering in multiple languages. Also, like we are providing you the delivery report and RTO reports. So in case you are doing the retargeting ads for your new customers, for new sales, so you can choose wisely, like these are our delivered orders, so you can target only those customers. Do not go for the RTO, those customers who have not received the item and rejected your item. So you can run ads on that also. So you can save in Facebook and Google ads also in that way. Yes.
So tell me something, because does your service, does your technology enable only B2C, or is there, also a B2B opportunity?
Yes, so we are into B2C and B2B both. So actually, we are totally a white labeled solution. So we are not providing services through our name. So we are totally a white labeled solution. Let's say ShopClues is using our services, and so nowhere Shipway name is coming. So only ShopClues name is coming on the to the customer. So it is totally a white labeled solutions. So in case of B2B, some of the big brands in India are using our products like Moglix, Shake Deal. So in B2B, we are providing the proof of delivery as well. One thing is proof of delivery after when the order is delivered, and we have some set of specific notification for B2B clients, which are only applicable for B2B, not in B2C. Okay. So we are available for B2C and B2B both. Yes, one more thing that you have mentioned in your previous question, the key differentiator. So most of the tracking companies are providing only forward tracking. So we are also offering the reverse tracking as well. like in case like you want to return the item, like um, um, your dress is not in correct size, you want to change due to quality, or you want to replace the item. So so we are also providing the reverse tracking for the companies. Yes.
So in a cross-border situation also it works seamlessly, right? I mean, it's like...
Right, right. It works cross-border very seamlessly. So we are supporting currently more than 500 couriers throughout the globe. So, and we are working very closely with them. So it is working fine. So cross-border also, like we are currently working on WhatsApp notification also. So the main thing is like for any e-commerce company, it is very difficult to integrate new technologies. Like in some countries Viber is working, in some countries WeChat is working, in most of the country WhatsApp is working. So we are also working on the WhatsApp notifications as of now. So so you need not to worry about integrating emails, integrating WhatsApp, integrating review mechanism, and the complete analytics for and if you are using multiple couriers, you only need to integrate Shipway. That's it.
And how is easy or difficult is it to integrate?
So it is just a 5-minute task to set up Shipway. We believe in automation through technology. As Shabri is also solving the problems through technology, we also believe in automation and solving the problems through technology. So our solution is just 5-minute setup. It's a quick and very easy. And we also have very good customer support team. In case of any queries, we are available on for them.
Great, great, fantastic. So I'll now move to Analyto, which is an e-commerce lifecycle automation platform. And we all know that calculating LTV of the customer and minimizing the churn is a very important metric in the path to profitability. So Amit, your analytics tool, it helps us doing both. So can you just share some highlights or some use cases, around Analyto?
Sure. I'll share a few slides with you. Thank you so much, Rachna. And we have a fabulous panel here. All of you are doing fabulous work. I was patiently listening, and you also have patience here. I'll talk for a few minutes. The idea of Analyto is, how do you make your customers your fans? Okay, because customers come, shop, and go. Customers leave you. We make your customers your clients. So clients generally stay with you, and we make your clients your fans. So how do we make your customer your fans? Fans just love you. Clients stay with you for a little longer time. Customers are not loyal. Okay, they're not loyal to anybody. So Analyto, make your customers your fans. That's our motto. And how do we do it? Do it we do it by solving a lot of problems, because e-commerce, if you ask me, is not an easy business. People think we'll set up a shop, start something on Magento, Shopify for free for a few weeks. It's not easy, and there are a lot of challenges. So we are a solution provider to all those problems, and I'll share some slides with you guys. Alrighty. So hopefully you can see my screen. All right. So these are some of the problems that e-commerce merchants, whether you're selling on your own shop, whether you are also selling on marketplaces, whether you're selling on multi-channels, these are some of the issues you face. You face an issue called customer acquisition. How do you acquire new customer? And how do you make your customer loyal? That's the first challenge we solve. And I'll come to how we solve it in the subsequent slide. The second problem we solve is improper segmentation of customers and product. Currently, a lot of people who are selling stuff online, whether it's on marketplace or on their own shops, they do not know which customer they're about to lose. They do not know which products should not be on the website anymore. They do not know which are their high margin customers. They do not know which are their VIP customers. They do not know which are their loyal customers. They do not know which are their potentially loyal customers. So using our artificial intelligence machine learning techniques, we get into the head of each and every customer. For example, a customer who is buying grocery online, if he's not buying, let's say, milk for 5 subsequent things, and he's going for, let's say, almond milk or let's say soya milk, so we will categorize that customer as a lactose a lactose customer who wants to avoid lactose, or a customer who is a vegan. So it's not, so based upon what he's buying, we'll not just categorize his buying behavior, but we'll also categorize customers based upon his buying pattern. So since we're able to identify and classify customers and products properly, we're able to serve them better. We're able to make them fans, not customers. We able to make them clients and then fans. The third problem that we solve is identifying defecting customers, because customers are buying from here today, tomorrow so they are buying from somewhere else. How do you identify which are the customers you're about to lose, and how do you retain them? That's the third problem we solve. The fourth problem we solve is distributed intelligence. I mean, this is a term which I should trademark because I coined this term. The e-commerce companies use a lot of apps. This for app for this, an app for this, an app for this. There's intelligence in small pieces, bits and pieces, and distributed. So we are like one JD app which can kill 10 other apps. We do intelligence, we do email marketing campaigns, we do artificial intelligence, we do analytics, and we also do on-site personalization. So instead of having 10 different apps, we have one app for basically automating your entire life cycle for the e-commerce. And we also solve one more problem of analytics and wasteful spend. So one of our clients has been doing spending a lot of money on Facebooks and Google ads, and they were targeting wrong products for wrong people. And when you're targeting wrong people with wrong products, you will of course have a low conversion ratio on your ad spend. You're just wasting your ad money. So since we're going to tell you which customer wants what, since we know which customer wants what, we target the right customer at the right time with the right product. So therefore, your ROI on the digital marketing spend will also improve a lot. How do we do this? So as I said, we got 3 modules. We got an analytics module, we got an assister module, and we got a promo module. So analytics is basically deep dive insights into your products and customers. We're able to do a calculation where we are identifying based upon RFM. RFM is basically recency, frequency, and monetary. With recency, we understand how recently a customer has shopped from you. From frequency, we understand how frequently a customer is shopping from you. And monetary, M means how much money customer is spending with you. So based upon RFM, we are able to categorize products and customers in such a manner that you will always be approaching the right customer with the right product, and vice versa. Assister is our AI personalization tool. So what happens is we have a client in Australia, and he is selling wines. Now, if he's showing red wine, there are 20 other red wines available in his store. But if a customer is going to his wine shop, and if he's clicking on one, let's say one red wine, it is very important that all other different types of red wine should also pop out, and the customer who wants to buy a red wine should be given more options of red wines and not just that particular wine. So when Analyto is installed onto a Shopify store or a Magento store or any other store, it basically studies the behavior, studies the attributes of all the products automatically using natural language processing. So automatically it crawls into a product description of all the products and automatically pulls feature. For example, in this case, it will pull a feature like if it's a red wine, who is the producer of red wine, and you do not have to say anything. The product Analyto will automatically pull the features and will find wine from same producer, wine from same varietal, wine from same texture, wine from same region. So all of that is being done automatically, and the product discovery will improve. If you have 10,000 red wines, if a customer is looking at one red wine, how are you going to discover the other red wines? So Analyto helps in product discovery a lot. So, and therefore, if a customer is coming, he's engaged. He has so many red wine options now, and he will definitely buy it now. Promo is basically promotions. People are doing fabulous job. I mean, a lot of people in this world, e-commerce companies, doing fabulous job. They are doing fabulous. They are selling fabulous things. It's very important to send out the message. Because I was on a panel yesterday with a founder of Seniority. He is selling stuff for senior citizens, only senior citizens, and he's getting that market. Yes, wonderful. And seniority, it is very important that they send a message out. Otherwise, it will be a disservice to people and to them if they are not sending the message out. So we help you spread the message out through multiple channels, through your email channel, through the WhatsApp, SMS, web push, app push, all the notification we send out. And once we sending out this message is also very, very targeted and very, very specific, very, very personalized, not just one message for all.
Fantastic. So just one follow-up question. You talked, so today a brand is not necessarily only selling only through a web shop, right? I may be selling through my web shop, I may be selling via marketplaces, I may be also having some offline stores, etc., etc. So does your tool, give you analytics across, or is it just uni-channel?
Excellent question, Rachana. Yes, we are able to pull information. We have APIs which can pull information from Shopify and Magento and everywhere else. And even if you're selling, let's say on marketplaces and other places, we'll have APIs to pull information. Whatever data is available with them, we pull it and we show all the information on one single dashboard. For example, with Vinculum, since you guys have installed a lot of other platforms, we are pulling information from the customer's website as well as from Vinculum to basically show everything in one single dashboard and do things from one single dashboard.
Yeah. Okay. So great. So I think that brings us to the end of the questions. Thank you, panelists, for sharing a treasure trove of information. And I'm sure it was very, very valuable for the audience today. I will now open the floor to questions and invite Sakshi to serve them to you. So Sakshi, are there any questions which you would like to share?
Yes, Rachna. Hello, everyone. I'm Sakshi from Vinculum Group, and I'll be handling the Q&A for today. The question is for Shabri. The picture that's being taken is only of the front of the foot. How does the heel shape and width get taken care of? And does the Find Me a Shoe mobile app take care of pronation?
Excellent question. I mean, so yes, that's what happens is when you take a picture from the top, we actually take the length as the focus, but the width is captured. And we've studied over close to 15,000 foot profiles and found that there's an excellent correlation between width and girth. And depending on the geography and ethnography, we provide those correlations. So earlier, we used to have a little more, we used to have an app where we asked you to take 3 pictures and the complete girth and the actual 3D model was created. But from a consumer perspective, that was a slightly more challenging, and we do offer that service today. You are a brand who is very picky and wants to have, close to 21 measurements to define a completely custom-made footwear. We can offer that service too, and the app can, that'll be an app-based service which can be deployed for you. But the browser-based service, which takes only 1 picture, uses a proxy between width and girth, but we've seen it work beautifully so far.
Thank you so much, Shabri. The next question is for Patience. Is it possible to over-localize your content?
Thank you very much for the question. Yes, actually, we have seen that happen before. For a good example I can share with you, it was for this brand where we translated a website into Russian, and later on, when we look at the statistics, there was actually a drop in the website traffic and revenue. And then later on, things picked up again. So the reason being because it depends on the prestige of your brand, and if it's in the local language, sometimes even the local people might not trust that local language more than in English. It's quite ironic, but it happens. So another example was also, if for Korean, a good way to think about your brand products, it would be good that the top line description of your brand is in English, and then the rest of it is in Korean. Reason being because in Korea, they see the English language as a little bit more premium, and instead of just everything in Korean. However, the rest of the content can be, kept translated. So for example, your checking out process, your email marketing should still be in Korean. So yes, sometimes you got to see, not every language should you translate and localize everything. Sometimes you still need to retain a certain little bit of maybe English, because based on people's impression of that particular country's impression of that language.
Thank you so much, Patience. The next question is for Mr. Narendra. The question is, can content curation offset promotional content? Can localized content help me create a definite long-term customer base for my product?
Yeah, so we need to understand that anything and everything a brand does today is keeping the customer in mind. So what the customer choices are, what kind of lifestyle he lives or she lives. I think we have to consider everything when we are selling anything in any market. So of course, localization really helps. Uh, keeping the the keywords that are searched maximum in that region, and following the certain kind of color story or certain kind of poses or certain kind of what kind of models really work there, or what kind of angles people want, what kind of information people want to know. Every region would have its own peculiarities. So of course content really should be keeping the market in mind. uh, that really helps. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Narendra. The next question is for Mr. Vikas. It's from Mr. Nimal, and he's asking, I need to know, how are you handling the cash on delivery and remittance in cross-border scenario? What are your inputs in minimizing the fraud orders?
Okay, so thanks for the question. So in case of fraud orders, like we are providing the analytics first of all. Like we saw a trend in our previous data. Like if a customer is giving you the RTO, he is giving you 50 RTOs, 50 RTO per customer, 20 RTOs per customer, and the e-commerce brand is still shipping to those customers. So we are providing analytics to the e-commerce brands, like this customer has this much of previous records, like good record or bad record in terms of RTOs. So customers, brands can choose these type of customers, like they want to ship or not. Also, like in terms of fraud orders, like in most of the orders, like address is incorrect and phone number is incorrect. So we are providing the AI recommendations, like phone number is incorrect, so you need to cross verify. And we also provide IVR verification calls to the customers, so that you can place IVR calls, automatic IVR calls to your customers to verify like a customer want to receive that item or not. So these are some of the things we are doing for fraud prevention.
Thank you so much, Vikas. The next question is for Mr. Amit. It's, how does Analyto helps in increasing the margins profit of a store?
Okay. Um, so guys, what's happening today is, suppose a e-commerce company wants to sell out an offer. Suppose they are offering shoes on sale. The same shoe, 30% discount for the same shoe goes to everybody. Everybody gets 30% discount on the same shoe. Now, what we do is we understand the behavior of each and every customer. We know Rachna does not really care about discount because she's a rich woman. Whereas suppose someone like me cares about 30% discount, only then I will buy. Now, based upon, since they know Amit will buy the shoe only if it's 30% discount, Rachna doesn't really care about money, doesn't really care about discount. So she will get the same shoe for no discount, because we know her past behavior says she doesn't care about discount. She always buy the premium stuff. With Amit, Amit got to give 30% discount, only then he will buy. So based upon the discounting behavior of each and every person, the discount coupon for each and every person will vary. Not one flat discount for the same product to everybody. Each person will get different discount coupons. That's one way of increasing your margin. There are a lot of other ways of increasing your margin. For example, since you guys have been spending a lot of money on digital marketing and a lot of ad spend, targeting wrong people with wrong products. Now, what if we told you that we can just give us your marketing budget, and we will make it, if you're getting 4x today or 5x today, we'll make it 15x or 20x by selling the right product to right customer. That's again increasing your margin. These are two ways to tell you briefly.
Thank you so much, Amit. The next question is for Shabri. The question is, how easy is the measurement process for the end consumer?
Oh, absolutely simple. I mean, with the new workload that we have, we've seen close to a 98% success rate, even with seniors. Kids are our best shot. Like, 8, 9-year-old kids do it fastest actually. And it's a pretty forgiving process. Like even if you don't hold the phone below your waist, you shake a little, actually it's pretty rock solid, and the usability is very, very forgiving. So we've seen good results on that.
Thank you so much, Shabri. The next question is for Mr. Narendra, and it's for selling on various marketplaces. When it comes to content, what are the crucial touch points a brand should consider to maximize click through and hence the conversions?
See, here, competition or new industry benchmarks play a very, very important role. A brand should always be updated in terms of what other brands are doing in terms of, how convenient they are making their shoppers to buy, and how close you can take the shopper to an offline experience where he can touch and feel and try the product. In online space, that's the only challenge that we have in terms of selling a product effectively, that the touch and feel actually goes away. But of course, there are multiple benefits of selling online for sure. So when we are selling online, we have to try to go as close as possible to the shopping experience of offline channels. And now that's why, as I mentioned, stop motion videos particularly are playing a very important role these days. Almost all the key top selling articles on Amazon today would have a video. All the top selling brands would have videos for all the articles that they're selling today. So videos has been a new benchmark or a new industry standard. For example, I have heard in real estate, people have moved to virtual reality kind of selling as well, where sitting in Delhi, you can experience an apartment in Dubai. So you put up a machine and you walk in, you open the door, you turn around, you see the walls. So everything and anything, that's the closest virtual reality in my experience, unless and until we learn to transmit ourselves. I think it's the closest possible content form today available. And I foresee that, in next couple of years, it will be quite cheap and quite common for normal consumer brands as well to use it. We have already started working on that. So coming back to the question, the content has to be really, really relevant today. You have to understand the channel that you are selling. You truly need to understand Amazon. If you are on Amazon, you have to truly understand what Flipkart customer looks at. If you are on Flipkart, normally, I've seen that most of the brands do one kind of content for multiple marketplaces in one country. But I have seen, the moment you go outside India, you have to truly understand that market and design your content according to the marketplaces or depending on the country that you're going into. So yeah, it has to be very, very relevant to the competition, to the market, to the channel that you're trying to sell.
Thank you so much, Narendra. The next question is for Mr. Vikas. It's, as Amazon seller, how to minimize cost and overheads of logistics, save unnecessary or undue cost and charges.
Okay. So in that case, if you are an Amazon seller and if you are a self-ship seller, so in that case, you can minimize the cost by evaluating the courier performance. So like every courier has specific set of command. Like some couriers are good in north, some couriers are good in south, some localized couriers are also good in south. Like Shri Maruti Couriers is very good in south. If you're talking about Blue Dart, very costly. So Blue Dart is very good, but you choose the courier very wisely according to the your product dimensions, product weight. You need to choose the courier very wisely. So like in case of you are using Shipway also, so we are providing you the analytics on that also, like which courier you can choose at what pin code, and so there may be some of the other reasons also. At very good couriers may have very bad percentage of RTOs in some other reasons. So every courier have their specific set of experience, expertise. So you need to choose courier very wisely. So this is the only tip from me.
Thank you so much, Vikas. The next question is for Patience. Retail sales today through social media channels is on the rise. I'm a seller from India. Would Language Connect help me create content and sell on WeChat? Also, interact with communities, including bloggers?
Sorry, could you please repeat the question again?
Yes. It's retail sales today through social media channels is on the rise. I'm a seller from India. Would Language Connect help me create content and sell on WeChat? Also, interact with communities, including bloggers.
Sorry, the last part again, after the WeChat portion, sorry.
Interact with communities, including bloggers.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. So thanks again for the question. So we do actually also provide copywriting services to do content creation for our clients. So this is always on a case-by-case basis where we actually sit down with them, have a scope call, a discussion to see what are their needs. And then from there, we will actually advise them on what would be the relevant content that we can help them to create. So it's basically collecting all the information that our client needs, what's their brief, and then we will share it with our copywriters who will then create the relevant content for that target market. So yes, we've actually done that before for example, the two case studies that I showed you earlier on for MyProtein and Look Fantastic. We actually also did the content writing over there as well as the SEO, multilingual SEO creation.
Thank you so much, Patience. So we have another question for you, and that is, do you provide translation services in South Korea also? And how you do that?
Yes, we do. So we do actually provide language translation for 160 languages. So that's languages, and then on top of that, we actually provide 500 language pairs in total. So English to, let's say, Korean, and then Korean to English, there's actually 2 language pairs already. So we have in total 500. And in South Korea, we engage with in-country native speakers. So what that means is that our linguists must be a Korean, must be living in South Korea if possible. And on top of that, they must have at least 3 to 4 years of translation experience.
Thank you so much, Patience. The next question is for Mr. Amit. How does Inalito help in identifying the customers our store is losing? And how can those customers be retained with Inalito's help?
Thank you so much. Guys, customers go from one place to another. We all know that, right? Now, how do we know which ones we're losing? One very important parameter is recency. Recency means if a customer has come to you in the last 1 week or last 2 weeks, last 1 month, there's a possibility he may come again. But if a customer has not come to you for 200 days or 300 days, there's a higher probability he is on the verge of looking somewhere else and he's not coming back. He's shopping from somewhere else. So that's one parameter we look at. We combine the recency parameter with frequency. If a customer has been coming in the last 60 days, came 2 times or 3 times, the frequency parameter is high. Therefore, higher possibility of he coming back again. So we combine recency with frequency, and we also combine recency, frequency with monetary. How much money is he spending in last 6 months, 8 months, 10 months? Based upon these 3 parameters, we will tell you these are the people you're about to lose, okay? And do something now. And we know what these people bought yesterday, who these people are, what can we say, what can we send. We can just create immediately, you can create a campaign and click a button, automatically the right product will go to them, the product which they were looking for on your website and elsewhere, and the product which they are most likely to buy, and then bring back again on your web shop to buy. That's the way you will identify which customers you're about to lose, and that's the way you will retain them and bring them back on your website. So once they come back again on your website, there's one more touch point that they had with you, and the possibility they'll keep coming again because you are now serving them, you are now understanding them, you have not ignored them. Everybody want to be pampered and loved. You're reaching out to them. Hey, we're missing you from 250 days. Oh, this guy's calculating my number of days. So you basically keeping a track of each and every person, that when they came or why they came, what they browsed, how much time they spent on a particular product. Based upon all those analyses, we're able to give them the right product when we know that they're not coming back, they're not coming frequently, they're not spending too much money. So that's the way you can bring them back before you actually lose them completely.
Thank you so much, Amit. Rachna, we are moving out of time, so we'll entertain the last 2 questions of the day. And to the rest of the questions, we'll reach out to you personally.
Sure.
Yes. So the question is for Shabri. The question is, can you provide proactive recommendations for cross-selling?
Absolutely. I'm so glad, somebody asked that, because, while Amit is going to give like the perfect cost-wise recommendation, I think what we offer our retailers is that while, of course, we give a recommendation when they're shopping, but imagine sending Rachna the perfect catalog. Like when you're sending out a mailer, you have a new collection. With Amit, you make sure that she gets no discount. Absolutely, that's fine. But instead, why do you want to sell her? Just send her random top selling shoes. Send her the shoes that are going to fit her the best. You know she's going to buy a great expensive shoe from you, but you can personalize and send Rachna the top 5 shoes as per her fit score, as opposed to sending her a catalog of hey, these are new launched. But that kind of makes it much more targeted and personalized to her, and can be combined with other data such as price, frequency of buying, and that this makes it a great factor to even personalize what you're selling. And similarly, when you're surfacing what's next, you know that somebody bought a shoe which they liked and was comfortable. We can also start showing similar kind of fit-based shoes that, based on your foot shape, these are what are recommended for your next purchase. So that kind of gives somebody a confidence saying that, hey, this brand understands me well and they know what I like and they're willing to work upon that. Right? So absolutely, that's a service that we can offer.
Thank you so much, Shabri. And now we move to the last question of the summit, and it's for Mr. Vikas. How can Shipway help in reducing the written order percentage?
Okay, so for return orders, like what are the things you need to take care? First of all, you need to dispatch the item as soon as possible. After that, Shipway roles will come into. So Shipway will send the notifications to your customer, like where is the actual order, like order is shipped, order is out for delivered, and order is delivered. And one more thing here I'm mentioning, like in last few questions, somebody has mentioned about localization. So in localization, it is, I will give you a simple example. It's 8/7/2020. Let's say we are talking about any date, 8/7/2020. So it is 8th of July or 7th of August of 2020. So you need to take care of that very carefully. Like if you are working in India, you need to make accordingly. And if you are working in USA, you need to take care of very wisely. So we are also taking care of these small things. We are sending proper notifications to your customers. And like in case of like your order is, let's say you are not at home. So sometimes courier boy mentioned like your address is incorrect, or customer refused the order. But the actual thing is you are not available on only that day, and you are asking courier to hold the courier for 1 day only. And in that, most of the time, some of the couriers will return that order to your warehouse. So in that case, we will inform your customer like you are not available at, you do not want to receive the item. That's why we are returning the item. And from that message, your customer can point you like, I want to receive the order, but I don't know why I'm receiving this order. So in that case, you can inform the courier at the end of the day to reschedule the delivery. So this is only the one point. So in that case, you can, after using Shipway, so as per our analysis, so you can reduce 20 to 25% of RTOs. So this is a quick analytics, and around 30% of the customer support cost if you are using Shipway. So thank you very much for the question.
Okay, so thanks, Sakshi. And on that note, we conclude our week-long Cross-Border Summit 2020. Hope our sessions have added value to your journey towards growing cross-border. In case there is something that you feel that we've missed out, or you need some kind of an end-to-end consulting on ongoing cross-border, you can write to us at marketing@vinculumgroup.com. And in case we've missed your questions, missed any of the sessions, we will be sending you the record. We've been sending you the recordings, in fact, on a daily basis. So do go back to them and listen at your convenience. And for questions which have not been answered, we are collating all the responses and we'll be publishing them soon. And we from Vinculum will also be reaching out to you in the next few days to take feedback so that you can tell us how we can improve ourselves better for future sessions. And finally, the big vote of thanks to all panelists, all moderators, the audience, the sponsors, the platform, Hubilio, and the team who helped put this together. So stay home, stay safe, and stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.